Aloha and welcome to our alternate energy sources video. In here we'll look at the advantages of solar, nuclear, wind, geothermal, and hydroelectric power and how we can generate electricity from them. To begin, we're going to take a look at making electricity, and most of the electricity we make in our country is done the same way. We basically start off down here with a turbine, which is basically some kind of thing that'll spin. It'll have these little blades that'll make it spin. And as it spins, it causes a generator to spin. And as that generator spins, it generates an electric current, and that's how we make our electricity in the country. So the big change is how we make this turbine spin is all. Now, solar is our most abundant source of energy. If we could harness the power of the sun, we could get all of the energy we need only from using solar energy. The problem with solar is the technology doesn't allow us to grasp all of it, and also it's kind of costly to put in. There's two main types of solar energy systems. We have passive and we have active. Passive means we're not doing anything, we're just letting it naturally happen. So if you can see in the picture here, in the wintertime, we'll have sunlight that'll come in through the windows and that'll just passively heat the inside of the house. An active solar system actually takes and does something with the energy. It's actually forcing it to move. So here we can see a little pump here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this water and we'll flow water up in through these solar panels and then store it here into a hot water tank for use in the house. So active means we're putting something into it. Passive means it's just kind of happening as it is. Now down here, you kind of see a new thing for us. And this is Solar One over in Barstow. And you've probably seen this on the drive from the 15 down to Los Angeles. But what you'll see is all of these little mirrors here take the sunlight and they reflect it up into this one tower. They'll run water up into that tower, and what that does is it causes it to boil and turn into steam. That steam they can then harness through pipes, run it across a turbine and cause that turbine to spin, thus turning a generator, thus making electricity. So it's a different kind of way of using the solar energy, and we're still able to produce electricity from it. Nuclear is another promising one because we can get a lot of energy from a small little set of nuclear material. If we notice here, we have our reactor, and what we're doing is we're able to put this down and that generates heat. So the process of nuclear is we're capturing this heat, and this heat then we use to generate steam, and that steam goes, spins a turbine, spins a generator, and we make our electricity. So that's a nuclear power plant. The bad thing about nuclear power plants are they generate a lot of heat, so we need to have cooling areas to cool off the water and to cool off the steam so we can reuse it. We're also going to have the waste materials from the reaction, and that's something that we have to get rid of. And then there's always the threat of emergencies or dangers or accidents happening. In the lessons, they'll go through what some of the bigger accidents that we've had. Now, wind energy holds a lot of promise. They say if we could harness the wind energy in just North and South Dakota, we could accumulate enough electricity to supply 80% of our need as a country. Wind power is a little bit easier, as you can see. We have our turbine here, which is basically the rotor part here, and that's going to spin, and as that spins, we run it through a gearbox to speed it up a little bit, and that gets our generator going, and we're able to make a lot of electricity this way. Wind power has a lot of promise. You see a lot of it going up. It's just the technology isn't there yet to capture all of the electricity that we need. But it's getting there, and it looks like one of the more promising ones. Now, geothermal is all in its name. Geo is earth, thermal is heat. So what we're doing is we're gathering heat from the earth, and that will then heat up water, form it into steam. The steam then spins a turbine, like we said already, making a generator. We generate our electricity that way. We can then cool that steam back down into liquids and then put it back down, and we can kind of run this whole cycle going around this way if we can work it out. Geothermal is promising. The problem is there's not an awful lot of areas where it's very practical. We don't have a lot of geothermal activity throughout the entire country. In the areas where it is, it's a very promising source. Now, hydroelectric is one that we should be a little familiar with. Hydro is water, so this is going to be electricity coming from a hydroelectric dam, from a water dam. Basically, we dam up the river and we build this reservoir. So now we've gotten water up here. Then what we do is we collect the water and we allow it to fall. And as it falls, it picks up speed. And that speed then will then spin a little turbine, thus a generator, and we can produce our electricity this way. And this is what we see over at Hoover Dam, where we have the water coming in, it falls down over and spills into these turbines, causing them to spin, and that's how we make electricity. Now, hydroelectric works really well, but again, we've already tapped most of the rivers and most of the good sites that can be using this, so there's not a lot of expansion into hydroelectric anymore. And finally, we have energy from tidal fluctuations. And this is a little promising. It's a little bit difficult to do just because of a lot of construction and issues. But if we find a bay or an estuary, and what we're basically going to do is at high tide, we open it up and we allow water to flow into the bay. Then we keep it there, and at low tide, we open up a separate channel, which then allows the water to flow back out. And in this separate channel is where we're going to place our turbine, so it'll spin this way, thus spinning our generator and making our electricity. So it's promising. The problem is that we would need to take a bay here, and you would have to basically construct this dam to close it off. So while the inside's fine, you're limiting transports in and out of it. That would be where we would have the issues. Okay, well that's it for this video. I tried to be quick and just give you a quick overview. The lessons will explain all of this in a lot more detail, so good luck on the lessons, and we'll see you in the next video.